Hello, welcome. Right, this is our season roundup. It was another season where we managed to play a bit. Some little stretches we recorded a few videos. Others we just played a bit but didn't get to record. Other parts we just struggled to play a bit. So I think that video we did previously about what we did when we didn't have much time is still largely applied to this month. So in this video, we'll just round up how our team did. I think on the whole, especially considering I think part of it as well is that I think our team is quite well set up, generally speaking. We haven't been able to maybe invest as much time as we otherwise might, potentially could have. You could spend way more time, but the thing is, our team's competitive enough at this level with how it's set up, and I think this is, at its core, sort of an issue that when we are playing the live matches, we were recording them all, but it's it was getting a bit repetitive, I think in particular, because most of the time, not all of the time, just most of the time, as in more than half of the time, it was kind of the case that the correct tactical decisions to make in the match was just to change nothing, and it's not particularly interesting. And our team, we've just set our team up pretty good, and the sort of the core of that setup really is much more interesting, much more happening about it, much bigger decisions, much, with the tactics, you've got serious deficiencies in your team, and there's a lot of tactical nuance to trying to cover for all of those deficiencies in your team, or trying to exploit player strength and stuff. But as you improve your team over time, it kind of everything just gets easier and easier to a degree. Now, obviously, as you get promoted, the level of opposition will get more difficult and more difficult. But I think at the moment, for this season and last season in particular, we're kind of just way ahead of the curve, basically. So our team and our tactics are just way sort of advanced compared to the average level of opposition. And it's not particularly challenging. However, it will be eventually. When we get, if we keep getting promoted, we will eventually get to the point where it isn't straightforward. Is that point next season? Maybe. We'll see. But it wasn't this season. So we'll just quickly check our league records. So in the seniors, we did, pretty good. I'd say, we finished second. Obviously, we did really good. We had the best goal difference in the league. We scored the most goals in the league. But we didn't win it, obviously. Someone else did. So, and the team who won it is probably worth pointing out as well. Bradford Academy, they also didn't lose a single match the whole season, which is pretty impressive. So, but I'd say on the whole for us, our focus always is just getting promoted, basically, just getting to the Masters League. It's not about, we're not trying to win. We're just trying to build a good squad for the future and get promoted throughout the journey. So we were really good there, and I think in the youth we were pretty good as well. We also got promoted, finished 4th overall. Again, had the highest goal difference. Again, we scored the most goals scored the most goals in the league and had the best goal difference in both the youth and the senior, although we didn't win either. But again, we got promoted pretty comfortably. Pretty impressive records in both. I think in regards to the weekly leagues, what did we do? We finished 4th, 1st. And in the youth, we finished 1st, 4th, 1st. So we won, 6 of the 8 weekly leagues that we're in. And interestingly, the other 2, we happened to finish 4th. So we did pretty good, I'd say, on the whole there. The trialists that we're going to end up graduating, we'll check them. But, at the moment we can't see their overalls and stuff, so it's probably worth a quick video at the start of next season to maybe... we'll do one early next season when we maybe have a season preview video so we can see these players a bit better. But I'd say on this, because, their ceiling and stuff is going to matter here ultimately, but on the face of it, we've got I think this is our strongest bunch of graduates, which isn't surprising because as we getting promoted, we're getting better quality trialists. So in theory, that should just continue to be the case. In practice, maybe not. Maybe there is a bit of a blip along the way. But at the moment, I'm pretty sure this is our strongest batch. So that's pretty good. We'll cover these guys more in depth in the preview video when we see all of the when we see their ceilings in particular, because I think that's gonna, and we can set up our youth team and we'll go through it. But in particular, I just think they're pretty strong. We got 3 MCs, 2 DCs, and a striker. We have been adding positions to our youth though, so we focus more on the attributes. We do take into account their position, but and it is a big deal using the add position resource, so it's not insignificant at all. But we have, we're looking at the long term here, so we're okay for the right player to use the add position, so it's not a problem. And then I think just in regards to the transfers for this month, on the players out, let's have a look for the whole month. So we sold. That's not significant. That player. This player was in the starting squad. I didn't mean to click on him. It's not really significant. So Dokken was significant. We sold him. He did all right, but we got a good price for him. Boothway was another player who did really good. He's got 81 tackling, but again, we're just moving on. Both of these guys' contracts are expiring this season. Visa was just a player that we just got other youth DMCs who were just better, so we were just happy to get rid of him for whatever we could get. Esposti was our starting squad keeper, so again, his wages ended up going up in the previous season, and we just got rid of him. And this guy was in our starting squad, so not much really, I'd say. Oh, and Raphael went as well, who was pretty good right-sided midfielder, but just couldn't really pass or tackle. It just wasn't really good for our whole controlling the whole match, sort of controlling possession, having lots of players get back and forth to attack and defend and stuff, and it just sort of controlling the flow of the match. The fact that he couldn't really help retain possession that well as either as he can't tackle, so he's a much more attacking player, and then I think in particular, because he couldn't finish, was just a big problem. So we got rid of him. He did alright. I'm just saying he had deficiencies, and we just wanted to have higher passing players basically in our team across the board. So not anything too big there on the sales, to be honest. In the purchases, we managed to. This keeper was not very good. He's assigned automatically because we didn't have enough in our youth squad. We picked up this guy on the auctions. Big purchase for us, $7.25 million, but just really shores up the midfield, the defense. Is that deep line playmaker that we desperately needed, and I think he's just done really well in that role. Just makes everything much more stable, I feel. We got some depth, centre half depth. He's got a lot of deficiencies. Not particularly good in the air, for example. Bad in the air, not great at all. Marking isn't too great. Passing is sort of okay. Whatever. He's not perfect, but he can tackle okay. He's quite fast. He's quite strong. He's got, he's just there for depth. As you can see, 8 starts, 8 off the bench. But he also played for the youth team a lot. So, he's also a youth player. Helped the youth team this season do really well. This guy we got as a wide midfielder. He just did really well as well. Just can cross, control, can pass, and he's fast and has the flair and a bit of strength and the work rate or whatever. So, and we just wanted a wide midfielder that gets up and back. This is guys playing the more attacking role rather than the up and back role. So the tackling didn't matter that much, although it still matters because he's still a midfielder at the end of the day. Finishing isn't really strong at all. It's quite weak, but whatever. He just basically helps us retain possession. This is the thing. The passing is good. Crossing is good enough. The control is good. He just doesn't really do silly things too often to just give up possession without, unnecessarily, I guess you could say, which is something that we really wanted to do for our midfield generally. We just don't really want to. We're trying to control the flow of matches, so we just don't want to really just give up possession too easily. So he helps with that a lot. This guy is just depth in central midfield. He only played a couple matches off the bench, but we were eyeing the following season a little bit when we bought this guy, because we knew that we'd be losing a central midfielder during due to contract expiry. We got a keeper. He ended up starting him. All of our keepers' contracts expired at the end of the season. We're just not going to keep any of them. We're just going to lose them all. This guy we just got for some extra depth in centre half as well. Again, just has some deficiencies, but the marking is weak. This guy's a bit better in the air, and he can't really pass. It's really, we're not looking to ideally use these guys much, but we just needed some depth because we had none at all. And then this guy, again, just more depth. He played quite a bit in the end in central midfield. We just thought he'll be starting next season. I think as things are, so we'll just bring him in. Really good passing vision. Again, retaining possession of the ball. Can tackle as well. Fast enough. Good enough endurance and natural fitness, taking into account the speed. The work rate isn't great. The aerial ball is okay. And he can finish, basically. So, not perfect, but for a box-to-box, pretty good. So interestingly, I think we had this guy for 3 full seasons, and we didn't get 82 days. You can see we didn't get a transfer bid in 82 days. That's pretty interesting. I don't think that's happened to any of the other players. But so yeah, we're just going to end up losing him. It's not worth using a contract extension on him, I don't believe, to just try to wait to get another bid for him next season. I just don't think it makes sense. So, there you go. We'll lose him. Harburg. We're just going to lose him as well. It's not worth us using contract extensions on these older guys like this. We bought this keeper as well. We're just going to lose him as well. And Pina, this central midfielder, I think we're just going to lose him as well. I think in particular, he did okay, he did a job, but at the end of the day, yes, the passing is good, but, he is okay, but at the end of the day, he's just not worth using. I don't think it's worth us using contract extension. We're better off just trying to find an upgrade for central midfield, which is kind of why we ultimately just was using this guy, because I already think he's probably a bit of an upgrade, not a significant one, but a bit. In particular, the tackling is a big deal, because we have the box-to-box role, so we really want them to help out defensively. Because one of the main ways we can get much more stable defensively, or improve defensively, is for these 3 players here, these 2 box-to-boxes and this winger, not the attacking winger, but these 3 players in particular, if they're all much better, if they're all really good at tackling, that can really help us defensively. And as you can see, like this guy only had 46 tackling, and the other central midfielder we were using all season was this guy, only had 51. So our 2 box-to-box midfielders had what did I say, 46 and 51 or something? Yeah, 46 and 51. Not great. And then this guy, I think he's pretty good. He's 66, but if he's out, which isn't great, but it's good. And if he's out, then the player that's coming in, we were trying to use him quite a bit, even though it's somewhat inferior player to other wide midfielders like this guy. But we were using him instead just because this guy's only got 12 tackling. So we're trying to put a lot more emphasis on being much more defensively stable, because I think that's the path forwards. We can create chances, we can score. We just need to be a bit more mindful of just having more tackling, I think, across these midfield players in particular. I think it's a way to easily help us be and the passing. So we're just trying to get improvements there. But I'd say, yeah, our team's looking pretty good. Obviously, in review, we can click on the stats here. So, Mizrachi, Israeli, he just scored a bucket load of goals again. Scored more than a goal a game last season, scored more than a goal a game this season. He is 27. He might lose. Clearly, he's heavily reliant on his speed, but he's also got 83 finishing, which is a big deal. Good movement, his strength, whatever. But clearly, it's basically just this. There are other reasons. I think the strength, in particular, the work rate, and the passing is pretty. He's good for our tactic. This is the thing. He does what we need. All we need is for him to score goals and not do silly passes, and it's basically all he does. So. Which is fine, because we got a rest of the team. That's all we need from our striker. The rest of our team can do other stuff. So Ishikawa, he's out injured, but he had a great season, although he dipped off a bit. Let's have a look. I think interestingly, I don't know, arguably did he or not? I mean, he was scoring a bit more than a goal a game, but but this season he also got 18 assists. We also have to consider this guy's a bit older, 29. He's a bit worse this season compared to last season. He will probably be a little bit worse next season. But clearly, he's still, I think, going to be a useful player next season. Cabo, who was our backup, AMC, he ended up coming on most games. I think this is another reason why Ishikawa's productivity dropped off a bit because, his endurance went down as well. He's only got 15 endurance. He basically needs to be subbed off. If we go to his match log, he's constantly being subbed off. You can see 63, 63, 62, 57, 44, 60, 51. Like, he's just being subbed off all the time. What is this? I mean, it looks like he's averaging around 60 minutes per game, something like that. So he's really only playing 2/3 of a match as well. So I wouldn't necessarily say that he's even, I think you do this stats per 90 minutes, he probably is averaging a goal a game still or thereabouts, plus a whole bunch of assists as well. So I wouldn't necessarily say that his productivity dropped off. Because you can see this guy just was basically playing those 30 minutes off the bench, plus covering for the injury or whatever, and he scored 18 goals as well. Outside of that, it's just a good coverage of assists as well. The amount of the match awards, obviously condensed here into the striker, but it's not surprising when he's scoring 53 goals. And it's not surprising he had the highest average rating either. And if you just generally look at the appearances distribution, like you can sort of see, these are the core players up here, I would say. And Pina is going, but the rest will still be in the team next season. I think our squad's looking alright, all in all, for next season. I think we're built okay. We're losing we'll only have one keeper, so we need to hunt down a backup keeper. But we've still got pretty good depth. We have this guy. He didn't play at all this season, actually. We'll have him to sort of be backup DMC until we can get something better. I think generally speaking, even though these contracts are expiring, we've already sort of got the cover saved for a backup keeper, which is something that will become a massively urgent thing if our keeper gets an injury. But we can work around that anyway. We can get the manager skill that recovers the players from injury, and if our keeper happens to get injured, we can just bring him back anyway. So it's not that big a deal at the end of the day. Well, when we've generally got cover for everywhere, and at the moment, so yeah, at the end of the day, I think from a squad building exercise, all we need is a backup keeper, and then outside of that, we're just looking for some improvements. Finances wise, we haven't really spent much. We've been mostly saving, so we will be up to 14.3. We did, spend that $7.25 million on the our deep line playmaker, but other than that, we were relatively conservative in our spending, and we should be looking pretty good financially for next season. We can probably buy two high profile auction players, I'd imagine, at the beginning of next season, and hopefully that'll be enough with the right purchases to propel us to promotion again. So yeah, that's looking pretty good. I'd say in the end, it was a pretty good season. Like I said, with the apologies for the lack of the videos and stuff, but it just takes time, I guess. And when it's you're looking here and you got these due matches, it's like 3 seniors, 2 youth. It's like 5 matches with everything else. It's a fair bit. That's all I can really say. It takes time to do it properly. And but hopefully we'll get there in the future. In particular, I think maybe next season we'll see, because we'll try and do the videos early. Definitely, whatever the season is. I mean, the thing is, it's either Division 2 and then Division 1. Division 1 for sure is going to be a struggle. In regards, I say struggle, but I'm not sure if it's going to be challenging. Is probably the word for sure. Like, I definitely feel in that one, like, the specifics are going to matter a lot. There'll be a lot of matches in the balance where we could have got points and dropped them, and so on. So I think that will be a very interesting season to try. We'll try to get a lot of the matches in. Maybe next season will be like a halfway house. Maybe it will be interesting, more interesting for the matches, and we have to make tactical changes more often to win. And then I think the videos for the matches will be more interesting if that's the case. So hopefully that'll be the case next season. But if not, I think for sure it's going to be the case when we end up in Division 1. So, alright, cheers. I think that's enough for now. I mean, I think basically for next season, the plan is, at this point, I think it is just to get promoted straight through to Division 1. We'll get promoted from Division 2 next season. And then we will sort of take a maybe we'll see. I'm not sure if we'll be looking to try to get promoted out of Division 1 on the first attempt or not. We'll sort of cover that when we get there. Could be potentially a bit of a interesting thing. We'll see when we get there. It kind of depends a lot on the players in the transfer market and stuff as well. But we still have a pretty young team, relatively speaking, across the board here. So we should, I think we should be okay for next season. I think our goal is definitely to get promoted next season. So cheers, thanks for watching, and catch you for next season.